For me, in our world, circle prospecting, hyperlocal farming is, I think, what we refer to it as. And really, I think at its core, what it is it's just building trust, and it's building connection of those people who are in your immediate community. Currently, right now, we have about a 20% market share of any home that is listed. And so we're really, really proud of that. That's, pretty high number when you think of, on average, 90 to 100 homes selling per year. I'm a guy that likes to live in a space of, good vibes. And so what my message is now and what I want it to be in 2025 is
up next on our podcast, Real Estate Untucked, we've got joining us today, Scott Steadman. I always say Steadman. That's right? Do you say it differently?
Yep, Steadman.
Yeah, okay.
Nope,
that's what
Steadman.
I thought. I second guess
There's no Steadman or anything unique about it. Just Steadman. Like Oprah's boyfriend, flair? I get a lot. Nope.
You look
just
we
could
him.
Start
you
that
really
now. Yeah. Right.
So Scott's a managing broker with nearly 15 years of experience in the real estate industry. Scott combines hyperlocal expertise with creative marketing strategies to deliver outstanding results for his clients. Outstanding. His community-first approach not only helps his buyers and sellers navigate the real estate process, but also builds a meaningful connection rooted in trust. Beyond his professional accomplishments, Scott is deeply passionate about mentoring other agents, fostering relationships that lead to long-term success. When he's not working, which is very rarely, you'll find Scott cheering for the Seattle Seahawks. I guess y'all don't have a football team down there. Yeah, exploring Utah's breathtaking outdoors or connecting with neighbors through local community events. Let's dive into this incredible journey and learn from the vast experience of the real estate world through Scott's eyes. Scott, welcome.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. And how about that intro? AI is a beautiful thing because that is, it's polished for sure. I don't know that I could say that exactly how AI did, but I'm going, yeah, that's right. That's right. And then, I'd cheer on the Seahawks a little louder there and go, woot woot. The NFC West division leading Seahawks right now.
Oh, they're probably doing something. That's good.
Hell yeah, they're doing something.
So let's talk about AI actually, because we just kind of went through that a little bit. Like, are you using AI at all?
All the time. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I think, even right now, as I look at my Chrome browser, we've got Chrome up here. We've got this podcast studio up here, and right next to that is ChatGPT. So for me, I don't know of a program right now that I'm using more, and it is the greatest, insert blank word there, assistant that I think any of us could have, and it's hard to imagine a world without it now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I use a AI called Perplexity. It's a little bit different than ChatGPT. Actually, you can upload, and you can probably do this to ChatGPT too. I should have a look, but you can upload documents to it. You can do all kinds of stuff. So like, I'll take one of our sphere of influence building manuals and be like, turn this into 20 slides. Now it doesn't create the slides, but it gives me the topic, what should be in it, like brilliant. We actually have a podcast that we've recorded already with a guy named Larry. I should know. He's from Seattle actually, so he probably roots on your Seahawks, but he is like an AI real estate integrator. He's done some really cool stuff doing like custom AI chat GBTs for like companies and people. And it's pretty phenomenal. It's bedded inside of it. So it learns your mannerisms and learns your wording. And so then you're like, hey, make this sound like me. It already knows how to do it. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Sounds cool. I'll have to check it out. Yeah. I mean, I think very, very similarly, the ability to take existing things, shorten them down, repurpose them. It's just, it's such a time saver. And, I don't know if you're like me when AI came out, it's like, oh my gosh, AI is going to replace me. And that's a very, buzzy thing to say, but, clearly it's not replacing us. It is just such a compliment. And, anyone who's not using it is just getting left in the dust because like yourself, you're much more efficient with it.
Sure. Yeah. I love that I actually cheated my way through 7th grade and never learned how to spell or write very well because now I don't have to, right? It's like, why do I need to learn cursive? Like my kids keep telling me that, why do I need to? I was like, I don't know why you need to learn cursive, to be honest with you, but now that AI's here, I didn't have to worry about failing. Well, 7th grade.
I'm sure. Cheating in middle school. I should say, the old calculators like the TI-85s.
Yeah.
Some of our friends got really, really smart, and they would take the test, and then they would program in the calculator the answer to the test, and then we would pass the calculator. from person to person so that it looked like we were doing the math problems when really we were just pulling up the test because it was stored in there. So
That's awesome.
I mean, that was then. I can only imagine how ChatGPT has,
For sure.
leveraged kids. I think, isn't it banned in schools too, or like for certain
Yeah.
things you can't use it, or how does that work? I don't
Yeah.
have kids in middle or high school.
My kids, yeah, my daughter actually, my younger one, who's like a straight A student, she wants to act like she's hard and she doesn't care about school, but she does really well. She got caught like writing something through. She's like, I didn't know that was not allowed. I'm like, come on, Olivia, I don't buy that. So yeah, they've got some programs out there that I guess will flag it, and then they can. Sometimes I've heard you can even ask AI if it's like, hey, was this created by AI? And there's some kind of breadcrumbs they can be like, yeah, it was. But
So
I feel bad for all the
AI using AI to detect AI.
yeah, that's how it works, right?
It's awesome.
So one thing I want to dive into first is I, like you, love your hyperlocal expertise, and you do a lot of community events and client events and all kinds of things. So what if, I don't know, just give me some background. I'm going to say like, when did you start? I don't give a shit how you want to start like when you started doing it, how you've grown it, or what you find best.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, in our world, circle prospecting, hyperlocal farming is, I think, what we refer to it as. And really, I think at its core, what it is it's just building trust, and it's building connection of those people who are in your immediate community. For me, how I got started was just that I lived in a community called Suncrest in Draper, Utah. And it's a unique community. It's a kind of a mountaintop community at 6,200 feet above sea level, where the rest of the valley is about 5,400. Geographically, it looks a little bit different. And I moved up there as I started high school, and then went away to college, and then got into real estate and said, you know what, I feel like there's some opportunity here to really build something special. Now, my mom, who's a real estate agent, that's partly how I got into this career as well. She had already been doing this. So you got to give credit where credit's due. And
Sure.
she had already built a really strong foundation. But as I got into it, coming fresh out of college, said, look, how can we improve this? So, we really leverage, we do have a homeowners association, which anytime we talk about farming, circle prospecting, when you can lean on people who are already doing those things, not only does it save you time, it saves you energy, but then you can just be plugged into things that maybe I'm not having to start from scratch. So we work very, very hard to maintain a very positive relationship. I mean, it's not always is easy, and sometimes we get confused as the homeowners association, but really just being there to support anything that they're doing, in addition to other client events, which if we want to talk about those, we can dig into that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll kind of pause there to let you
For sure.
kind of.
So the HOA part, so you just went to your HOA and said, hey, let me sponsor stuff you're doing. Let me make it a little bit better and deeper, or how'd you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. I mean, sometimes, early on they would ask for, hey, we need some sponsors for our annual meeting. And that was, a little bit more bland than I would like, where it's like, hey, Scott and his real estate team are sponsoring, and here's a $50 gift card for this drawing. And so we really look for ways that we can, add more value. And I'll share a couple of those.
Yeah.
They're more recent. So a couple weeks ago, we had pictures with Santa. And so we have a nice park kind of by the clubhouse here. And originally the homeowners association had said, you know what, no, we got this event all covered. And I said, well, how about I provide, hot chocolate? This is going to be an outdoor event. We don't know what the weather's going to be. And they said, great. So we ended up providing, we actually ran out of hot chocolate because it was so well attended. The weather turned out really, really well. It was like 50 degrees, which is unseasonal right now. But that was a good example of something where they had the framework, they had Santa coming, they had reindeer coming, they had a petting zoo, they had Anna and Elsa. And we just said, after being told no, we had said, well, can we please just bring hot chocolate? Because we think this would be fun. And we dressed it up to where it was like, get your peppermint and your crunched Oreos, whatever, so that it was more of an experience. And what was really great about that is that when they think about community, they also think about us. And we do nothing about here's your or sign in to get a free market report there. We're there just as they are, as part of the community. And when you farm and farm consistently, I don't think that you need to wear a name tag that says, ask me about real estate or anything like that, because that just feels inauthentic and tacky to me.
Yeah. So how many houses or homeowners are in your like HOA neighborhood?
Yeah, about 1,850.
Okay.
Currently, right now, we have about a 20% market share of any home
Nice.
that is listed. And so we're really, really proud of that. That's, pretty high number when you think of on average 90 to 100 homes selling per year to be involved in essentially 1 in every 5. It's something that we've worked really hard on doing. I just said hard on. Worked really hard
you
at
do
doing.
20%. Yeah, you can get hard on 20% of the
yeah,
sales.
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
What so let's dig a little deeper on that. So you're in essence farming your own neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, do you recommend that? Because I know some people go, I don't want to farm my neighborhood because my neighbors will hate me, or you know what I mean? Like, have you ever had any problems with farming your own neighborhood or some pushback?
Yeah, all the time. And I think that what I've really leaned into is just who I am as a person. And for me, what's really important is a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And I feel very, very passionate about, and sometimes that can be to a fault because I fall into the category where as a broker, like, no, I can fix you or let me help you, when really the best answer is to be like, no, go spread your wings, or we can't help you. But that strong sense of belonging, to get back to your question, there's no shortage of real estate agents. I think everyone knows at least 156 of them. And so there's always people that, we see that come in to try and get involved in their own way, or get involved in the same way that we're doing things. But what they're trying to do is, just imitate, which, it is flattery to me, but also it feels like, okay, we'll let you do this event because you're not likely going to be back to the next one or to the next one or to the next one.
Yeah. So I hate imitation. Like, I know people say it's the highest form of flattery. I fucking hate it. Like, go figure out something else. Go do it somewhere else. Leave me alone. I put the time and energy into it. So, I mean, I hear you and I should feel that way. I'm like, oh, that's really nice, but fuck you. Don't.
Well, no, I mean, it does piss you off, right? Because it's like, you want to be there. You've proven yourself for years and years and years. You asked the question about, would I do it again? And the answer to me is yes, I would absolutely do this same strategy again. But where most people fail is it's not a quick instant success. It's not buying leads off of Zillow. It's not, this is years, in the making.
Yeah.
To where when you consistently show up for people and you can make them feel a part of something that is bigger than their house, but they can go, yeah, I saw you at the summer barbecue and you guys provided that, drinks, and then that Delta gift card because you played on the theme of around the world. And then I saw you at the hot chocolate. And then I, saw you at the park when you were just there with your family. What that translates into is when they have that life change, we have an established connection. And so often people will say, I don't know what it is. I just feel like I know you. And I know exactly what it is. It's showing up without the intention of wanting to get that deal right in that moment, because I know at my core that if I continually show up for people, that when the time comes, I'll be considered. And generally, as a real estate agent, our primary job is to cultivate relationships. And when you cultivate your relationships for months and years on end, it becomes much easier to be that person that's chosen to sell their home or to help them buy the next one.
Yeah. That's why I was so happy that you said you'd be on the podcast, because we share such a similar thought process when it comes to business development, right? I know every market's a little bit different, and some people do open houses and broker lunches. Like, I hate open houses. We don't do them. They're not safe in our market, whatever. It doesn't matter. I actually hate them. But I believe that building relationships.
You personally hate doing them and they are not safe. That is an example to you.
Our company doesn't do them. I used to. My first 5 years in the business, I probably did one a weekend, but statistically, they just didn't provide anything. And then you can back that up with the realtor home buyer and seller guide stats, where less than 1% of people buy a house through, right? And then people can argue, well, that's how I find buyers. Well, yeah, but are those the buyers you really want? Like the ones that don't understand that they could call 5,000 agents and get them to show a house? Is that really, and again, there's some success to it, but I would argue the amount of time, energy, and money, not you maybe, because people do them well, that they put into it to get that one deal out of 10 years that actually turns into something, the financial and the emotional and the family cost of being away for hours upon hours on a Sunday or Saturday or whatever day it is, doesn't actually equate. Also, that aside, I profess that like connections are it, right? Like, just like you said, you got to do them for a while. So my partner and I back in the day started doing movie nights in the summer. We bought the equipment, blow up screens, like 12. I love buying shit. Like that's the theme of my life. So I bought the screen, I bought all the stuff, bought the rights to it. So we had to buy them from the, forget the name of the house that the movie house that allows us to buy the rights. So the FBI doesn't kick in our door. And I was like, but we're going to have to do this like 5 years. So we did it like, gosh, was it May through October, and just once a month. But we did. And after about 5 years, and it was no stump speech, we weren't out there to sell ourselves. But we would see is like dads would pull up in pickup trucks full of kids because the moms were at somebody's house drinking wine. The dads had a cooler, didn't ask what was in it. And we're watching Hocus Pocus, or we're watching, whatever it is. And it was great. It was fantastic. And it was in the community park. We didn't publicize it because we didn't want really anybody from other neighborhoods coming in. It did make it on the radio one time, and that was a shitstorm. Like that was real bad. Real
a wild story.
But just a lot of people, because we're all like, we don't need police, we don't need ambulance, right? And all of a sudden it's like 400 people, and we're like, well, this could get bad. It could get real bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the consistency and showing the love and support and going all into it. So I'm curious, if you had to, on the same kind of topic, if you were talking to one of your agents about building their own brand or their own sphere of farming, what would you recommend for them to do to kind of either mimic you or do better what you've already tried to do?
Yeah. One, I would say don't mimic me. I think that we, as humans are our own people. And I think real estate is an extremely, extremely, hard industry where you may get on social and you may see what someone is doing, and then you want to do exactly that same thing. And just because someone is making all their money off of social doesn't mean that you're going to. Or just because someone is experts at doing an open house, which you hate, I love, but they profess that this is absolutely it. I think the first thing that I like to do when I'm, coaching and mentoring is really hone into who are you as a person? What are you into? And if it is, like what you're saying, going to something as simple as going to the park and watching a movie, like we can build around that. Or if you're into cars, or if you're into the Seahawks, like I am, host watch party, things that I think that you are generally into yourself, you are going to attract those people, right? And you and I know this, but for anyone who may be listening to this, it's, I would just say focus on what it is that you like, and then you're going to bring in these people, because if you're trying to be a jack of all trades, you're going to end up being a master of none. And, we all know that saying, but, keep your eye on what it is that you're passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, I always profess to my agents, like, it's a lifestyle. Like what we do is a lifestyle. So you may be working all day Saturday and Sunday. You're going to have to be able to cut your grass or go to the grocery store. So you can go on a Tuesday. Like that's the lifestyle part. But you're right. If your hobbies and your business development doesn't equal your joys in life, then it's going to be a forced motion. You're not going to like it. So if you can figure out, whether it's CrossFit or yoga or whatever you're doing to kind of build that into your lifestyle and get business from it without being a salesperson, I think it is a phenomenal.
Well, and just think of how much happier you are too. If you, like I was saying, a strong sense of belonging, like, in my personal relationships with my friends, when there's discontent, I find that myself, I'm unhappier, and I'm a guy that likes to go, okay, let's, talk through this. And my wife, she's like, look, let him be. We can talk about it tomorrow. You don't need to fix everything right now. But again, it just goes back to, I think that we'll be happier when we're doing things that we enjoy and not trying to chase the Zillow lead, or, because Brad is doing this, I know that he's successful, so I'm going to do it too. And it just feels icky to me. Yeah,
no doubt. So moving on just a little bit, because I think it goes hand in hand. Probably about 3 or 4 years ago, you went hardcore into social media. I feel like you kicked it up. Maybe not hardcore, but you definitely stepped up.
I don't think I've still gone on hardcore shit. But...
Yeah, your shit looks good, dude. You're like, it's on point. You. Like you've got, it is you're one of the accounts I would recommend people to follow, because it's not fake. You don't have a team of people. You can tell some people have like a team of people producing content. Even average real estate producers have these like little gaggle of content people behind them, but like yours is real, it's authentic, you can connect. But I'm curious, why did you do that? Like, why did you decide to kick it up? What did you feel like you were missing in your business that this was going to kind of bridge the gap?
Yeah. And I appreciate, your recognition of that, because, as a goal of mine, and I don't, it's really been more recent to me starting in 2024. I said, I feel like there's an opportunity for me to maximize this storefront essentially of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever it is. I don't care, whatever you want to be on. And I felt like I was missing an opportunity to show who I am. And so one of my goals this year was to go, how do I do this and do this in a way that feels real to me, that feels, authentic to me,
Right.
that is not trying to be someone else. And so I hired a social media coach or life coach, Giselle Ugardi, which is, people
Sure.
really in our industry, know her, and learning the, just the skills in the right way and the mental mindset. It's not, virality. She and I will tell you that virality is not the goal. And we often joke too, her and I, that I came to her wanting those things. I came to her wanting to be like, well, I saw you on stage at Inman and you did this and I want to be you. So
Right.
I'm a victim of what I'm telling you not to do right now. And working with her, we've been able to change that message of, well, who are you and who do you want to be? And Scott, you only have 500 followers, but your engagement on those is really, really great. And that means more to me than having 50,000. And that's a
Right.
mindset that I've had to shift, because again, that vanity measure, sometimes I fall into, but I can tell you that I have felt better in having more one-to-one like this with you, where you're saying, hey, I see you and I notice you and I saw what you put out and that was really cool. Can you help me? To be able to have an impact on, more real and genuine connection was part of the focus. I don't want to beat around the bush too. I think that 35 and under, that's where people are going to get a sense of who we are. And I felt like I was missing an opportunity with these younger clients to go, if their parents are saying, hey, you want to buy a house, you should use Scott Steadman. Like, they're not going to my old broker website and being like, oh, cool, I found you at scottsteadman.com and it looks like you enjoy helping first-time home buyers. Would you be able to assist me? But if
Yep.
they go to my social and see that, I did this thing or, whatever, it also helps people feel like they know you without knowing you.
Yeah. And that's what people are buying. I'm curious, has it helped? I mean, I'm trying to ask a question like I'm a real fucking interviewer. Like, here's the thing I love about social media. And I think agents that don't do it are really leaving a lot of money on the table, because like you're building these relationships with your community. Agents put in good work with their sphere of influence. And I'm not talking being like a viral star, but they're not doing a lot of social media, which I feel like is a lost moment because it's always playing in the background. So in between those events you're doing, the people that are following you are seeing you and reminding them that you're in it. And it's a free headspace rental, right? You get to stay in their head for as long as you want. And I just think that people that don't take advantage of that, and I'm not saying go as hardcore as you are in it, because like there's a process, there's a planning, you have a lot of good content that you have to think through. I'm just talking about posting in general. Like, I feel like agents that don't have a strong social media game typically don't have a strong real estate game either. My personal opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I think, sometimes we overcomplicate things more than we need to. But if being on social media to me means posting when I'm comfortable, or when I do something, or when something is important to me, I think that that's okay. And I think where a lot of people get hung up is they feel like they need to be doing something else as an expectation that maybe they have of social media, or an expectation of what they believe they need from social media. Like, I'm going to do this 30-day reel challenge. You want to know what sounds fucking nuts to me is doing a reel every single day for 30 days. Like, that is overwhelming. And sometimes I don't post anything for 10 days or even longer. And that's okay. But when I post something, like for me, well, even today, hey y'all, I'm going to be on this podcast. I'm going to be on with Brad, and I thought Wayne, but he's not here. And these are how I know these
he's
people.
Still working on himself. He's doing self-help. I'm just kidding. He's coaching somewhere right now.
But I share that because it's important to me. And if someone else goes, oh my gosh, you know Brad? How do you know Brad? And then we can strike up a conversation, and have some connection that way. That's great. Or if someone sees it and goes, oh my gosh, Scott's talking about real estate again, click through the next, like, that's okay too. But then they might relate to my kids or the Seahawks or hiking, whatever it is that I'm posting. Yeah. And I think that's the goal, is to just be who you are.
Yep. 100%. Side note, I think it's really funny. I listened to Two Bears, One Cave. It's Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer. They have a podcast. And it's just funny. But every time one of them's out, they make up reasons he wasn't there. Like, it's usually medical. Like, Bert had to get his left ankle removed because of diabetes, and pray for him. But they're stoic about it. So all the guests are like, "Are you serious?" And the next time they make fun of the other one.
This really happened? That is funny. Right? Well, peace be with Wayne, wherever he's at.
He's getting baptized. He needs to be.
Yeah, good.
He's actually in Wisconsin. That's going to be so cold. Although Draper, Utah sounds really cold right now too. What's the temperature out there?
Today's actually really nice. We're, high 40s, which, right now we start to get into, real cold weather, snow. So I don't know.
So do you have a selling season out there? Do you have like it's too cold, like things just don't sell?
Well, we have a market like Park City, Utah, which a lot of people know about, that, right now they're entering into more of their busy season, right? Because people are coming here and they're going, oh my gosh, I can live here and I'm so close to the slopes. I don't work a whole lot in the Park City market. For me, where I'm at is more, I would say, traditional, where we have peak seasons in the summer when, kids are out of school. It's a very cyclical market. They have more time. They want to make the changes maybe before middle school, before elementary, before high school, whatever.
Right.
To do that. So May to August is probably the peak where we have the more frequency of transactions. But I'm a guy that bases a lot of my advice and guidance off of facts, and if I can look at history and say, look, here's what we normally see. And you and I just got out of what to me was an annoying cycle of the election. Well, what's going to happen with the election and what happens with this? And you know what? I'm just excited that it's over, because now I don't have to talk about the damn election anymore.
Yep. 100%. All right. So going back a little bit. So we're talking about social media. Do you do it all yourself? Do you follow the schedule that you've created? Do you base it around what you're doing that day? How could you help somebody when like, I just don't know what to post about, or how did you find inspiration?
I found inspiration by having the accountability. So it first started as group coaching, of, some of the simple stuff of like, here's how to record a reel and here's how to edit a reel. And then that evolved to the more one-to-one of who are you and what message do you want to get out? And for me, what's important right now is how can I impact more people in a positive way? I'm a guy that likes to live in a space of, good vibes. And so what my message is now and what I want it to be in 2025 is, how can I get my message out of building connection in your community, building trust in your community, and do that in a way that's bigger than just real estate? Because I don't want to limit myself to just speaking to real estate agents. I want someone who maybe owns a CrossFit gym to go, well, yeah, I know that I own this CrossFit gym, but I can have an impact in my community by doing events just like you, or maybe we partner, or how do we reach out to other local businesses? So to just show that if you show up for people, people will show up for you in whatever you're passionate about.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. So,
and just start doing it. I mean, at its simplest, the too long don't read version of your question is just start doing it and live in the messy. And your first few are going to suck. I still put out stuff that I look back at and go, oh my gosh, that was horrible. But you want to know what? I'm really proud that I did it. And I'm really proud that I can look at my camera roll right now and not see 15 things of this, where I'm this, there I'm this, there I'm this, there I'm this, there I'm this. And I'm like, I didn't post any of those, right? So now I'm more at a place where I can just do something right in the moment and let it rip and, not forget about it and forget about it.
Yeah. I'm in the midst of kind of redoing my content strategy. Been working the last couple of months, but like I actually hired some help. So it's funny how you talked about accountability, and people think the more you do or the better you're at something that you don't need the accountability. I almost say it's the opposite. Even pro athletes go back to spring training to learn how to throw a baseball, right? Like just to get the fundamentals down. And our lives get busier and crazier, but we always be like, oh yeah, we'll do that later. Well, then we don't. So like I literally I've kind of amassed a little bit of a content team this year. I've got my right-hand woman, Steely, who does everything with me in our businesses. So she's making sure I've got time for it. But the other two ladies, like they're full-time with me, job, not full-time, they're part-time for sure. But one's a videographer and the other one's like, she's thinking about strategy. Here's what I would post today, like topic-wise, not what to say, but hey, do a broker reel today, or hey, do this day. And so she's really planned it out, which is helpful. But I also have to check in with them, because if I don't post it, they're going to jump me hard. Because like here I am paying them to do something. And also I run the risk of them piecing out because they don't feel like they're appreciated because I'm not doing the actual content work. So having that accountability makes me do a lot of things because I don't want to do half the stuff I do, but I know somebody's waiting on me to do it. It's like, all right, I gotta post this thing today. Good, wrong, right, or ugly. It's going out. So I feel you.
Yeah. And one thing that I would say too is that, as someone who's an observer to that, I've seen the regular things that you're doing, and I don't watch them every single time, but I've taken notice of, the scheduling of things that have come out. And there's been a couple of times where it's like, okay, it's Friday. Doesn't Brad normally post a video Friday? To where now I think that what you can create is some accountability of these people who are tuning in.
True.
And going, Brad, where were you today? I've been, your last video was really fun, or you and I were talking about, some things that Jimmy Mackin has helped us on. And so to see that you posted something and that I'm working on it, like, it creates some things that when you're sharing and putting things out, that we can, open the door for more conversation, more collaboration, to help ourselves and to help the people that we serve.
Isn't that funny, man? Like, the more we're in this, the more we're trying to help others. Like, you would think the more you're in this, the more you're just trying to get more deals and more money to kind of supplement what you're doing. But it's interesting how you've kind of taken that angle of like, no, I'm not gonna say you've made it because you won't agree with me, but you do very well for yourself. But like, now I want to give back because I feel like there's just so much bad noise out there from practitioners. Like, they're not actually practicing it. They're practicing real estate, but all of a sudden they've got a YouTube channel and they think they know everything when it comes to real estate. And the younger generation, meaning not necessarily age, but young to the business, they're watching it and thinking that this is what you have to do. And you're like, no, it's not. I want to tell you what I think you should do because it actually works, instead of these bobbleheads over here spitting game at you and you're doing all the wrong things and you're going to fail out in 2 years. So I just think it's interesting how that morphosis happens over time with people that actually do care about their clients. They also start caring about our communities and the real estate community in general as well. So
which is absolutely, yeah, thank you. And it's beautiful because I think that the people that a lot of us view as, icons or leaders within the industry, that's generally the trajectory that they've done is they've, started somewhere, they've done this thing, and then they continue to become the best version of their self because they just want to put it out there. And a lot of this, I think for you and I, if I can speak for you, is that like, I'm not doing social media in hopes that I can get more and more business. Like, if that's a byproduct of it, that's great. But my mindset has shifted to go, here's what I've learned. Here's how I've found some success, and I want to share it with people. And then if you've learned something too, and you want to be like, hey, I saw that you did this, pie drive, that was really, really cool. I did this other drive that maybe you should look at. Like, and if that helps me, like, what a beautiful thing that we can just, help everyone become better.
Yeah. No doubt, dude.
And there's no secrets too. And that's, something kind of along these same lines that if I look back at the trajectory of my career, I mean, I thought I was king shit the first couple of years. I got in here and I did this thing and I'm doing this and I'm not sharing anything because if I do, then you're going to copy it. And now the reality is a lot of agents are lazy, and this is not a pig pile on agents, but we can do these trainings to 100 people, a few hundred people, whatever. But the reality is the vast majority of them are not going to do anything about it,
right?
Right.
And
so in my world, that would be great if they did. But my hope is that more people will adopt it to make our profession look amazing, to make our communities look amazing, to help themselves as people.
Yeah.
Getting woo-woo here.
Well, I mean, it kind of is, but like, our profession has such a bad rap, self-fulfilled by that as well. But we aren't helping ourselves, and the loudest squawk box out there get the attention, but they're not the ones actually in it to, I don't know, help the consumer actually either make the transition to a new home or actually have a conversation like, I don't think it's a good idea. Like, actually care and not just turn people into pawns, but turn people into like connections and helping them. That's my biggest thing, man. If I can help people change their generational wealth, like over time, like it's one of the biggest reasons America is at the leading front of world society. No, some people want to argue that, but it is because of our home ownership. It's our generational wealth that we pass down over generations and generations and generations. Hence the reason some minority groups in our country are statistically lower on their generational wealth or the amount they have in generational, because they weren't allowed to buy houses. Like, a lot of people were assholes to them generations ago. So if everybody's on the same field and we kept passing down property as mainly Caucasian families have done, it builds that up and everybody gets a step ahead. So I see that my degrees in criminology and sociology stuff back in college. So I dove really big into that stuff. And it's just amazing how much housing is the nucleus for gaining wealth. It's just crazy to me. And, people that just don't take it seriously pisses me off because they're not helping people make, sound financial decisions. I'm not saying you should make decisions for your clients by any means, but, not every deal is the same. I think you need to have conversations with people instead of be like, yes, house contract closed. Thank you. Like, that's not really what I'm into. So I know you're not either, but.
Yeah, and I was just going to comment, just affordability. I imagine that you're probably pretty passionate about the education of how do we, because we have a problem of home affordability in Utah. I think we're now the 10th most expensive state. So how do we help educate and guide around that? How can I help someone who maybe is from a different background, who does not have that history, but they want that now? They want that for themselves. They want that for their kids. And they may not be able to buy a house today, but what are we doing in our communities to go, look, here's what we recommend, or here's how we can help you. And that may take a few years, but these are the steps that you can take. It's really remarkable that there's people like yourself who are actively doing that work to get more people to build generational wealth.
Yeah. Well, thanks. It's not as much as I'd want to do, to be honest with you. And we keep saying the word generational, but like, it's even, I don't know if you get this a lot, probably not, because Utah's different prices, but we'll get clients that call us all the time and say, hey, not clients, leads, whatever, I want to owner finance. And it's like, let's talk about that real quick. Like, what do you know about it? Well, that's what my parents did growing up. And that's all I know. They don't understand the process, but yet we also don't want to have seminars and like degrade people and act like they don't know anything. It's a hard thing to manipulate and pull out of people. One thing I'm excited about is I know one of our local senators, Tim Scott, he's pushing hard for allowing rental payments and utility bills to start working towards credit. So just because you don't have a mortgage or a house pay or a rental payment, well, some rental companies do file credit for you. But if you've been paying your power bill on time for the last 12 years, like that should go towards your credit. Like that's going to help some of these people that are stuck in the generational rental society make their way out, because now their credit score, which has never been a focus of maybe their family or their generational hierarchy of their family, now it can help build that up, because that's typically what we see.
That's awesome.
They are good payers. So we'll see if the world economics allow something like that to disrupt it, but we'll see. So I digress, but I do want to talk a little bit about you as a broker owner over at Windermere, not necessarily about the company. You can talk about the company all you want, but how are you finding success or not? Like, how are you enjoying being a broker? Do you think it's fulfilling to you? Do you think it's a good step up for you? A lot of people always think they got to go higher up a ladder. I want to be a team lead. Oh, I want to be a broker. I want to own my own company. And it's not for everybody, but I'm kind of curious your thoughts on how that works out.
Yeah. And, really timely this year, because I've had a lot of those questions of, so 2024 for me has been a year of figuring out myself more so. I got into real estate about 15 years ago. So early 20s, had much more time, didn't have kids there. And, I failed to put my health first.
Yeah.
And my health means my physical health. It means my mental health. So this year we had our third child, and I went, gosh, there's going to be some benefits now to, just the way that our healthcare system works. And so, I've been going to physical therapy to fix some problems that I did earlier in, 10 years ago, weightlifting, mental therapy, which I've never done, doing that on a regular basis. I mentioned that I've hired, kind of a life coach in Giselle. So a lot of focusing on myself. And as part of that process, to answer your question, was, am I in the right position? Should I be doing this? And so I, a couple of months ago, started writing down, what parts of my job do I really enjoy? And then categorizing what parts of this job do I not enjoy? And then figuring out, do I need to be doing these, or can I be offloading these to someone who is better matched to be doing these things?
Yeah.
And what I found in that process as it relates to being a broker owner is there is fulfillment that comes in being there for someone to answer the questions of how to negotiate a contract, or how to craft a business plan, or how to craft a social media plan, and then helping them through not only the crafting, but the execution, and then seeing the result that is just so fulfilling to me to know that I played a part in that.
Yeah.
You know, that I can't get with, you know, helping a buyer or seller sell their house. Like, it's just a different, you know, sense of fulfillment that I have found that I need. So you know, this year you know, candidly, I did question stepping down because I was just feeling like, am I making a difference? Can I do these things? But when I really looked at what aspects of the job do I like, and what I don't like is I don't like being a babysitter. And so I'm very candid and transparent with people now that, like, you know, I believe in an office environment. And so I want you to be in the office. I'm going to be in the office as much as I can. Now, I don't want to see you in the office every single day, because then that means you're not out meeting buyers and sellers. But I do want you to have a presence, because I value the collaboration that can come with seeing me on a regular basis, and with me seeing you, to just have those check-ins.
Yeah.
So, you know, for anyone that's going, like, started an agent, should I try and be a broker? Should I try and be a team lead? Should I, you know, do this? I would just say, you know, write down, kind of like I did. That was very, very helpful to go, today I did this, and here's what I enjoyed about today. And when you do that for a long period of time, like, I tracked it for 30 days, which is, you know, it was a nightmare, but I really wanted to dig into myself and figure that out. And through that process, it was, I like this aspects of being a broker. I don't like this aspects of being a broker. I like this part about being an agent, because I do both. I sell actively and I broker. And then figuring out, well, who can come in and help me do these things that I don't like, and how do I find that right person? So many, you know, business books will talk about, you know, getting the right people on the bus, right? And that's really what I tried to focus on, because up until now, it was just that continual ladder climbing of, like, well, hell, I did good at selling real estate, or marginally good. So next step, I'm a broker. Here we go.
Let me teach everybody everything I know. That's awesome. It probably is what you followed. So people listen to this, it's redundant because every damn episode I pretty much talk about it, but like Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, I think is the name of the book. It's changed and reaffirmed a lot of things. Same thing to 2-week time suck, right? Just wrote down everything every 15 minutes. And I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I did a Google form, and then I put a shortcut on my phone, and then I just, every 15 minutes, alarm would go off, and I would just like, doop, doop, and here's what I'm doing. And it has helped me figure out where my time was going. Again, what I do like, what I don't like. And I think people will just misunderstand that you're supposed to love everything about everything you do all the time. And it's like, no, it's okay not to have some stuff you like to do, but you still have to get it done. Kind of like laundry and cutting the grass. But same thing when it comes to real estate, whether it's being a broker or an agent, like, yeah, prospecting, whatever that means to you. Like, yeah, you've got to get it done however you want to do it. So it's helped me kind of put some people in the right place, also offload some things, and then automate some things too. That has been really, really helpful.
And then also look at where you're spending time that you shouldn't. So I've done that same exercise. That's actually something that Giselle put me through, where every 15 minutes you go, what did I do? And what was really eye-opening to me the first time I did this was, you see where your life gets interrupted. And so last year, about the same time, we had a bunch of snowstorms. And so I looked at it and I said, okay, this past week, I spent 6 hours snow shoveling before. So what was I doing the week before during those 6 hours? Because in my mind, I didn't have 6 hours to give. But when I needed, and when in a time of, you know, conflict or something, right? Because I have to shovel the snow to get out of the driveway, we make time for those. So it really has caused me to reevaluate a lot of the junk time and going, how can I be more efficient? We can talk about, you know, time blocking and like the Dwara dolls or whatever those things are called, where you flip them over and, you know, you focus, whatever. But all those things are done to help you become, you know, just the best version of yourself, the most efficient version of yourself. And that time blocking exercise, it is a pain in the ass, but it is so beautiful in what it reveals about you as a person, your family, your work, and what you think that you're doing and what you actually have time for.
Yeah. It always interests me when I have agents that are like, hey, I can't get my stuff done. I don't have enough time, right? And we do a training every Monday, and we base it on the 4 disciplines of execution by Stephen Covey. And it's a hard adaptation to real estate, and it's not for everybody. It's the ones that want to do it, and then the agents that are fresher with me. Again, kind of redundant to some podcasts, but it's like, what 2 things are you going to do this week that will lead you to 2 of your goals, which oftentimes adding more people to their database is one goal because they don't have one, or getting in agencies, obviously the precipice, because the goal is getting a closing, but you don't know you have that until you have it. So an agency will lead to that, right? But it's interesting to me with everything you do during the day, also being a spouse, parent of 3 kids, what I go through, I'm still able to get so much done, but they're like, I can't get it done. I'm like, you have 2 goals this week. That's it. And you're closing like a deal every other month. Like you've got time. So I wonder where people get in their own way. Do you think it's just by not knowing what they're using their time for or misusing it? Like, what do you think it is?
Probably both, right? And I think it is, at least for me, it was the actual tracking. And I think if you can get people to buy in, because I agree with you, and sometimes selfishly, I'll look at them and be like, when I didn't have kids, whatever it is, but really just get them to buy into, well, let's dig into your schedule because I want to understand what you're saying. And that may reveal things that I don't know about them because maybe they're spending time, and I'll just say volunteering a couple hours a week that you never knew about. And you're going, okay, well, that's really cool that you're doing that. I didn't know about that. Let's talk about that more because that might be important to more people. And if you're volunteering, you're probably meeting more people. And are you entering them into your database, right? And so through this, discovery process, but I'm not a guy that I get very, very frustrated if I'm trying to help someone and they can't help themselves, right? So you've got to do, if you're with me, we've got to have a plan. We've got to have a system. We've got to have a process. We've got to evaluate your time. We've got to understand where you're spending it, and we got to understand where you want to be. And if we go through that process and you make commitments and you're going to do it, I think that you'll be successful. But if you don't, that's kind of where I start all right, that sense of belonging that I talked about, that I really care about. I start to kind of detach myself a little bit, because I feel like in a way that if you don't care about yourself, then, it's hard for me to care about you too.
Yeah, no, I was talking to somebody actually the other day, and it's like, I want it more for them than they want for themselves. And that's
right. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
So hard. God, it's so hard because I get frustrated. I'm like, why am I mad at them? Like, they're happy doing 6 deals a year. I wish I could be happy at 6 deals a year. So
that's a powerful lesson that I could learn from, by the way, is because I think that for some people that is great, and maybe it's how do we help you do those 6 deals that help you accomplish whatever it is that's important to you.
Yeah. I mean, so one of the things we've had to adapt, so I quit putting too much pressure on my agents years ago. And I wasn't actually putting pressure on them. I was having higher expectations than they were producing, and they never knew it. And really, it's not my place to put expectations on people, to be honest with you. But we had to do some math, and we realized that if our agents do a minimum of 12 deals a year, and we're at lower price point, right? I mean, our average is probably just around 300,000 in most of the markets we work. And that's up a lot since obviously before the pandemic. If they do 12 deals, they're going to be the top 25% of our market as an agent. So like, can't really expect much more from them on that. But also, if they're doing 12 deals, it's enough for them to be considered full-time. They're fully focused, like great. And I have some agents that are fine doing 12 deals. Like they are tickled pink. It's enough money for vacation and doing what they need to do. And then I have some that want to do 90, right? And I think there's different conversations for both of them. But once I realized and kind of put that on me, and then I shared with them the expectations of your first year, if you're brand new, we want you to do around 9, which most of them come from us anyways. And then we want you to consistently do around 12 a year. And we don't kick people out necessarily, but we do have some people that, they did 4 and they're like, I'm happy doing 4, which I don't think they are. I think they're using it as a cop out to make themselves feel better, but that doesn't work for my model. So we call it alignment. Like we're no longer aligned and they got to go work somewhere else because we just spend too much money on our agents and everything that we produce to only have somebody doing 4 deals with our model. But it really helped me understand that people can be happy doing less. And that's a foreign concept to me, but that also probably goes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's powerful though, to realize that a beautiful thing about real estate is that there is not a one size fits all brokerage model. Right. And so what I appreciate about what I know about you is that you're a broker and a brokerage that does everything that they can to make their agents look as good as possible, as efficient as possible, as has a process-driven approach. And you as a broker and a brokerage try to give that. And I think it's important for people to realize that, if you want to do just 4 deals a year, that like, we're probably not the best fit for you. You may be a great person. you may do really, really well with those 4 deals, but we have those conversations as well, because I think most would view Windermere here in Salt Lake City as one of the top brokerages, top in terms of agent gross commission income, top as in luxury, prestige, top as in what we give to our agents, but we're not the cheapest. And so if someone comes to us and says, you're too expensive, it's like, well, here's, if you're so focused solely on cost, yes, we're always going to have that, misalignment. But if you want to get to this level, here are all the things that we can do as a brokerage to help you get there. But, if you're only going to do 1 deal a year, like, that's a good deal for us. Like, you're going to pay us a lot of money for 1 deal. And like, you shouldn't do that.
That's what do they call it? I've learned it as the scarcity versus abundance mentality. So the people that come to me and say, hey, y'all, same thing, you're too expensive, which honestly on math, we're not, but it's okay. I was like, okay, great. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, I did 6 deals last year. So if I do those same 6 deals again this year, I need to go somewhere where I can make more money. I was like, or you could do 10 deals and make a whole lot more money, and I can show you how to increase your revenue. But the scarcity is,
and probably save you time in doing that as well, because it's not always about doing more deals, making more money. It's also, do you have kids, and can we help you not work nights and weekends? Or if you like working nights and weekends, can we help you not work during the day, because that's when you like to pick your kids up from school or whatever. Right. And it's a very, we believe in the ninja selling philosophy by Larry Kindle. And that's one thing that they're very, very big into, is just focus on your work-life balance.
Yeah. Do y'all keep the ninja training going constantly as a company? Like, do you? I've heard that.
So
I've
Ninja's
never been
very,
through it.
Yeah. So we encourage all of our agents to go through, it's a 4-day ninja installation. For me, as I look back in my early career, I can see where, almost like a light switch, where it flipped of not going through Ninja and then going through Ninja and just seeing that trajectory go upward, because it gets you in the right frame of mind. It also establishes, systems and processes that, as a new agent, it always baffles me that people get into this industry for the freedom of their time, and the first thing that they give up is the freedom of their time. And also they're like, well, I'm a real estate agent. Okay, well, I need you to do these things, and I need you to spend some money to get this and this and this, or you have to do your licensing. It's like, well, I have no money. It's like, well, you wouldn't open up a restaurant with no money and just be like, hey, I can cook for you. Who wants a free meal right now? Who wants a free meal? And so I don't know why or how that started in real estate, but it's so frustrating to me that people get their real estate license and go, I haven't made any money for 6 months. Well, what have you?
Right. Yeah.
I think that's why
there's people like you out there that people gravitate towards, because you have a plan, you have a process for them, you have a way that you can help them. They just got to show up and put in the work. Where a lot of companies, I feel like, don't actually have that. It's just, your license, come hang it here. So to wrap us up a little bit, what is in store for you for 2025? What are you hoping to accomplish this next year that you're willing to share? Like, what's the next step in your evolution?
I really feel like for me, this year has been super, super powerful to just understand myself better. And I've talked a lot about that, with you today, but that the reality is that's where I'm at. And it's a different conversation that we would have had a year ago, and it'll probably be a different conversation than a year from now. But what I'm really proud of is just, figuring out, who am I right now? What's important to me right now? That's both personal and work. And then 2025, as I look, what's really important to me is I want to create more positive impact. And how I want to do that is to share things that I have found to be helpful for me. Now, do I expect it to change the world? No, but if it can change you, your agents, or sometimes you pick up one thing and that helps you, that's great. I also want to help change, some of the narratives. This year has been a big year for all real estate agents, and I'm frankly a little bit sick of complaining and not doing. And so I want to be more vocal about the many real estate agents do so many amazing things. And I just want to continue to share how I feel like I'm making a positive impact. And I also want to learn from people like you Brad, you talked on that podcast about doing those movie nights. That sounded really cool. And the fact that you had 400 people show up helped me do that, so that I don't just hear about your idea, try and do it and slaughter it, but reach out to those people and go, look, you inspired me to do that. And then also follow up with you and be like, Brad, look, I did this movie event and I only had 50 people came, but I got to know those 50 people and I'm actually going to dinner with this family, or my kids are now playing together, whatever. Like, those things to me are really, really moving. And what I've noticed since I've started sharing more is the impact I didn't realize that I was making, and the impact that I also have realized just by being silent, because I've been doing a lot of these same things, but just as I've amplified my own voice, it's been very, very empowering to hear those things like, Scott, I've noticed you've been on social media more, and I think that you're killing it, because a lot of times I get into my own mental headspace of like, nobody cares, I suck at it. So I just feel like I'm in a good mode of like trying to be positive and just putting my blinders on, and then also being cognizant of things that work and don't work.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Like, it's been so fun to watch your journey since we've met each other. I don't know how long ago it was now, years and years ago, but you're crushing it. You're an asset to our industry, to your community, to your family. Like,
well, thank you.
You're killing it, dude. So thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your time with us. All right,
cool.
Dude.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, buddy. Go out there and crush it, man. Thanks, dude.
Cool. Yep. See ya.